In the past several years, social media has become a major part of most people's lives. From small things like keeping in touch with your friends to major things like keeping up with world politics, nearly every aspect of our lives revolves around social media. Due in part to its involvement in our lives, social media has a way of altering our identities in ways that weren't always possible. Ultimately, social media influences people's identities by opening a gateway to cyberbullying, struggles with self image, and fake identity. Social media is a way for one person to interact with millions of others. It opens a door to a totally different world. Social media gives one a way to hide their identity or make a new one and meet new people without risking that identity. Social media is an open space in which one is able to say anything and not have repercussions for it. In a way, social media is a mask for some people to where they are able to have confidence online that they do not have in reality. This gives one the chance to have a different personality online. One could use social media as a way to hide their true identity and make friends with that identity, as well as saying things that one would not normally say face to face. One would do this because of the lack of confidence or good communication in the real world. Being so connected to social media can alter one's personality as well. The constant connection can make one too dependent on social media. One could start to depend on the social interactions online instead of the social interactions in reality. Roger Scruton writes about this in Hiding Behind the Screen. Scruton writes, in investing one's emotional life in the adventures of an avatar, one retreats completely from real relationships. This concept that one can invest their emotional life in a screen while completely blocking oneself away from the real world makes sense. With an avatar who can have social interactions and communication online, one would not see the reason for communication in reality. This can make someone impersonal or impatient as they become accustomed to the pace of the online interactions instead of the pace of real life. One could even become so engulfed in liking and commenting on posts that they begin to struggle showing emotions in reality. There are many hypotheses about how social media affects one's personality. Some believe that emotions and friends are affected by one's connection to social media. Teresa Correa et al. Writes about personality in Who Interacts on the Web, the intersection of users' personality on social media use. Correa et al. Writes about 3 different hypotheses that were later supported by social experiments. These 3 hypotheses are based around the 5-factor model. The 5-factor model is a theory developed by Costa and McCrae that states that all people share 5 different personality traits: neuroticism, openness, extroversion, agreeableness, and conscientiousness. One of the 3 hypotheses that Correa et al. Wrote about was, people who are more extroverted will use social media more frequently. An extrovert is someone who is outgoing and expressive. I am able to agree with Correa et al.'s hypothesis. One who is more outgoing is more likely to have a booming social status online. An extrovert would not be afraid to speak one's mind and would have more social interactions online than most others. Correa et al. Writes a second hypothesis. People who are more emotionally stable will use social media less frequently. I also agree with this hypothesis. One who is less emotionally stable may depend on the social interactions online because the interactions provide some emotional stability and validation. They may also reach out more on social media than they otherwise would in real life due to the anonymity. Berku Mukan and Nihan Ozguven write about personality and the relationship between personality traits and social media use. Mukan et al. Writes, the need for socialization and a sense of belonging are 2 fundamental motivating factors in social media use. This goes with the hypothesis of Correa et al. One who is emotionally unstable would hold on to any sense of belonging that social media could provide. They would grasp for any sense of belonging or social interaction that they could get online because they are unable to have it in reality. Being emotionally unstable would make one less likely to interact with people in reality and more likely to interact with others online where they can hide their instability better. The third hypothesis that Correa et al. Writes is people who are more open to new experiences will use social media more frequently. One who is more willing to try new things and interact with new people is more likely to use social media than one who is the opposite. Social media is a huge aspect of today's world, and if someone is not willing to try new things or open to new experiences, then they are much less likely to use social media. I agree with this hypothesis. One who is more open to new experiences would use social media more because they are able to better connect with others online. One's use of social media is a big deal. When going online to check into Facebook or tweet something on Twitter, one does not realize how normal it has become. One has made a habit of checking their phone or posting online. It takes up time in one's day, and no one notices how much it alters one's day-to-day life. They say that one lost their phone or someone stole it. That person would not know what to do with themselves. All that one would hear was that they lost their phone. Social media can be a blessing, but it has made the human race robots, showing less emotion and paying less attention to things that need it, taking pictures to enjoy later rather than enjoying moments when they happen. Social media has developed greatly over the past few years. Social media is now used worldwide and by almost everyone. There is, however, a large age group that uses social media more than another. That is the age of 18 to 30. Now, there are people who use the social media that are younger and older than this, but the majority is in the age group of 18 to 30. I believe that this age range is due to social status. From the time one hits high school, their appearance and social status are looked at more closely than their personality. Therefore, they try to portray the person that everyone wants to see through their social media. Social media is altering the perception of one another. One would see another's profile online and begin to assume things based on that profile. This is why one would post differently online than one would in reality. Then, taking in the fact that one can only express so much through social media, this can make people detached. It can be hard to show emotions online. Sure, there are emoticons, but showing true emotion online is very difficult. This can alter personality even if it is unintentional. While on social media, one could be of a certain race, ethnicity, or sexual orientation, and one could also pose as a different person to avoid certain stereotypes that come with one's true identity. One can post a status or picture with anonymity, and then they do not have to keep the emotions built up. This could reduce stress and give one the chance to get feelings out online. Expressing emotions and concerns online could help one to build up confidence to say things in reality as well. By getting positive reactions online, this can build confidence. This also could apply to gender or sexual orientation. Going online and talking to a complete stranger about one's gender and sexual orientation is a lot easier than telling a close friend or family member. There is a positive outcome usually, and these random people can be supportive when close friends and family won't be. Social media can be a safe, welcoming place to all genders and ethnicities when going about it the right way. Social media can influence one's identity in many ways. It is not the social media itself influencing identity, but it is the users on the social media. A lot of the times, one would post something personal online and then another user would comment. It may not be the worst comment, but it would stir something inside of the one who posted it and make them uneasy. This is only the beginning of what can happen on social media. This could be the start of cyberbullying. Social media provides a gateway to bullying without the consequences of it. Anke Gorzig writes, "The more time adolescents spend online, the more likely they are to be cyberbullied." Adolescents spend a lot of time online. Whether it be on Facebook, Twitter, or even browsing YouTube, most adolescents spend some time on the internet. As if it weren't enough that they could be bullied in school, there is now an open window of opportunity for bullying online. Overall, social media is a gateway. One's personality is susceptible to change at any given time or over time. One may not even notice that they are changing. In a perfect world, social media would help to balance the 5 personality traits in each person. But there is no such thing as a perfect world. Social media will give one a way to alter their personality and their image as they please. One's personality and image online can lead to many different roads later in life. Consider one's own Facebook. If there was an interview lined up and that employer went to look at their profile, would they like what they saw? One's social media is never really private. Therefore, what is posted needs to be controlled. As normal human beings, most do not think of this, posting whatever pleases them at the time and neglecting to consider the repercussions of it. In conclusion, social media can influence people's identities in many ways. Social media gives one the opportunity to say or do anything online. One does not have to worry about being judged or pestered about their opinion online because they can simply delete the comment or ignore it. The only real problem with social media changing personality is the fact that one can be cyberbullied. This can lead to many bad scenarios. The 5-factor model comes into play because everyone supposedly possesses the 5 personality traits. These traits can be altered by online interactions. Bullying and self-image are the 2 main factors when it comes to online personality. One's personality is the basis of who one is. If personality is constantly changing, there are going to be consequences. Friends and family would start to notice one was acting differently, and if it gets out of control, they would try to deal with it. One's personality and identity should be cherished and kept under control, and social media can cause one to lose that control. Social media is a great way to connect with one's friends and to socialize with others, but the damage that it can cause in one's life needs to be watched. While one is browsing the internet or chatting with a friend, one would need to make sure not to say anything to get oneself in trouble, such as posing as someone else online or cyberbullying someone else. Social media is a great asset to day-to-day life. It can be just as dangerous as it is helpful, though.